Hey there, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About. And we're not going to get into the normal niceties because there's something I need to talk about. Something that's been weighing heavy on my mind for quite some time now. I was watching through YouTube as one normally does, and I came across Bernie Mac's daughter talking about Bernie Mac and when he died, and how she felt and all that stuff. And it made me think about my father. Now, granted, my father's been gone 20 years now. It'll be 20 years on the 1st of June. But yeah. It'll be 20 years on the 1st of June. And it still blows my mind that I'm not over it. It blows my mind that it still affects me the way that it does. And I can tell you without any cause whatsoever what I was doing, where I was, and all that stuff like that. Now, in the months before he did die, he was in the VA hospital, and my youngest brother saw him, my eldest sister saw him, my middle brother saw him. Everybody saw him. And for my youngest brother, he was married at the time, and his wife and child, he would read stories to the child, and the child said how much he loved his grandfather, loved this, that, and other thing like that. But I remember one day he was talking to my sister, and he said, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave." And she was like, "What?" And he said, "I'm ready to leave. I want to go home now." Now, looking back on it, we knew exactly what he meant. We knew exactly what he said. But it doesn't make anything any different. It doesn't mitigate what was about to happen. And what happened was this. I had just gone into town. I was living in England at the time, living in the town called Eastbourne. And I was just coming back from getting something downtown. I don't even remember what it was. And I was heading back to work. I was working at the time at a post office. And I was almost there when the phone rang. I'm like, "Hello?" And I hear, "It's your sister Denise. I've come to tell you Dad's gone." And I hit the brakes. And I said, "What?" And she said, "Dad's gone." I cannot for the life of me remember a lot of what happened next. All I know is that I got home. My boss at the time was there with my wife. I told them, and they said, "No, you just go out. Just go, this is unbelievable." So I went back out. I can't tell you where I went. I can't tell you what I did. I can just tell you that I went out for a while. And I remember then getting a flight back to the States. Excuse me. Getting a flight back to the States. I remember meeting my sister at the airport. I remember going back to her house. I remember The stupid argument that my middle brother and I got into, where it almost came to blows but not quite. I remember going to the funeral. I remember being at the funeral, watching all these people give their platitudes about a guy, and I remember being furious with them. And I was furious with them because they didn't know him. Not like I did, not like my brother and sister did. You didn't know him at all. And the fact that you could sit here and talk like you knew him blew my mind. I became very irate. I remember turning to my sister saying, "Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here." Now, my two brothers, and my sister were floating around giving condolences and things like that, and I was having no parts of it. Because you got to remember, my father was my hero. I could not remember anything in life other than wants to be like him. I worshipped him. I worshipped the ground that he walked on. I wanted to be that man so bad. I wanted to be him. And now he's gone. And it affected me in ways that I'd never even dreamed of. When my firstborn son was born, the day before he was born, actually, no, the day he was born, I remember writing a note and saying that I wished my mom and dad were here to see it. And how proud they'd be, and how doting they'd be, and all this other good stuff. But they weren't. And they would never be. And it just reminded me how cruel life can be. How unfair life can be. And let's face it, life isn't fair. And I'm not even going to go into the parts about how you wish it could be, because that doesn't make any sense for the here and now. It's not fair. It's never been fair. It never will be fair. Because there's always going to be parts of your life when things are going to happen that you're going to have no control over, and you're going to be like, why is this happening? I remember talking to my sister when she told me that he died and saying, I should have been there. I should have been there. To this day, I should have been there. But I know what I thought. I thought that he'd get better. And this is how I had it played in my head. He'd get better. We'd have our son. We'd go back to the States. He'd see him and be with him for a while, and then he would go. So at least he would know his grandson. At least he would know that his lineage was being passed on. That would have been fair. Everybody's got to die. I know this. But the fairness of it would have been, he would have at least been able to celebrate his grandson. He'd be able to appreciate the life that his mother, that my mother, that his mother, that my wife and I were able to bring into the world. But that wasn't meant to be. And it's not fair. I know that nobody knows for sure the day, the hour that they're going to pass on. Because if you were, let's face it, people will be bending over backwards to make wrongs right and things like that. And life would be a chaotic mess. It'd be worse than it is now. I first shout out to Bernie Mac's daughter. I don't know her name offhand. I could probably look it up and find it, but shout out to you, firstly, right off the bat. Because you did something that a lot of people can't do. And that's relive a real and true traumatic experience. That's trauma. Your parents died. That's trauma. Whether you know it's been coming or it's sudden, and it happens, it's traumatic. It's a life-altering event. So shout out to you. We're gonna give a shout out to MTR for putting on his podcast. Because his father died 6 months ago, and he went through the same trauma that she did, and to a lesser extent, the same trauma I went through. Because let's face it, as she said in the video, you don't think your parents are going to die. I remember way back in the day, we were talking about something, and my mother said, I'm not going to be here forever, so you're going to have to figure this out on your own. And I thought to myself, don't talk like that. Don't say that. You're going to be here. Who are you kidding? And then she wasn't. And as I've told you in previous videos, she went to a doctor's appointment to see about pains in her chest and never came back. She died waiting for her appointment. Had a massive heart attack. But she knew. And when my father was about to go, he said, I'm ready to go home. And if I was there, I would have said the same thing. Don't say that. You can't leave me. And that's selfish. But that's what it is. You can't leave me. What am I going to do without you? How am I supposed to live without you? Where am I going to get all my my nuggets of wisdom and knowledge from? Who am I going to talk to with my problems? Now, granted, my father was an only child, and he came from a family that had no concept of love. It was duty. He didn't love his mother the way I loved mine. He wasn't loved by his mother the way my mother loved me. And that's okay because that's two different total time periods. And you play the cards you're dealt. I know he loved me. I know he loved all of us. He couldn't articulate it very well because it was never articulated to him. But it didn't change anything. It didn't change the fact that he loved us and would do anything for us. I know that there are times in my life where it seems like I don't love my children as much as I should. And maybe I don't. I'm not too proud to say that I'm not. But that doesn't change the fact that I love them so much with all my heart. And I would do anything for them. Just like I do anything for their mother. I'm out.